After hearing directly from Nigerians on how they are coping with repeated power outage, we now move into the analysis, focusing on the national grid and the deeper challenges confronting Nigeria's power sector. Now, the national grid collapsed twice in just 4 days at the start of 2026, raising serious questions about system stability. This comes after a difficult 2025 when the grid reportedly failed 12 times, cutting electricity nationwide and disrupting homes, hospitals, schools, and businesses. For many Nigerians, these collapses have become a painful routine rather than an exception. Now, experts blame a mix of aging infrastructure, weak transmission capacity, poor maintenance, operational lapses, and funding constraints. And while the Transmission Company of Nigeria often describes these incidents as system disturbance or line trippings, the real impact is felt on the streets. Higher energy costs, growing dependence on generators, and increased hardship for households and small businesses. Now, this raises critical questions. Why does the national grid remain so fragile? Where are the biggest gaps? Generation, transmission, or distribution? And what must change to deliver a stable and reliable power supply to Nigerians? To help us break this down, we are joined by two key stakeholders with first-hand experience of the sector. Chief Sunday Oduntan is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Nigeria Electricity Distributors and the official spokesman for all distribution companies, and he's joining us via Zoom from Lagos. And also with us in the studio is Dr. Abubakar Atiku Tambuwal. He's the former Managing Director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning, and thank you for coming. Okay, I think I would start with Chief Sunday. Good morning, Chief Sunday. Can you hear me?
Good morning. I can hear you loud and clear. Good morning.
All right, thank you for joining us. Now, let's start with the recent collapses that we have recorded this year. We have recorded 2 grid collapses within 4 days. I mean, that is in January, now including a nationwide blackout on January 23rd when generation dropped to 0. Now, from the discourse perspective, where exactly did things go wrong, and what warnings, if there was any, did you receive before the system failure?
Okay, thank you very much. As this goes, our own perspective is more broad. We are looking at the whole thing in a holistic manner. In other words, the issue of transmission bridge or the Transmission Company of Nigeria did not just start today. Long before privatization of generation and distribution arm of the value chain, there has been a total neglect of the power sector, especially during the military government era. And you cannot correct the adversity of 50 years in 12 years. So we cannot blame the current managers of Transmission Company of Nigeria for the problem that we have. But we have to look at it in a way that is fair. Number one, I dare say that the federal government has been spending a lot of money on the transmission grid. A lot of progress has been made over the years, way back since when Mr. Babajide Fashola was the Minister of Power, all the way, all his successors to the current Minister of Power, the current government. You must have heard about the cement deal, the cement project. Cement is an equipment supplier from Germany, and they have done a lot of work as far as the transmission infrastructure, even distribution, is concerned. So government has been making efforts, but I would like Nigerians to be patient because this thing will not happen overnight. And to the extent that this government is a listening government, we have honored, we have shouted, we have cried over the years that they need to carve out the independent system operator away from the TCN. Government listened, they've done that, with a capable managing director, Engineer A.B. Mohammed there. So I think all those system disturbances that are happening is due to the aging infrastructure. And this renewal going on cannot be completed overnight. I can give you examples of some wonderful job that TCN has done all over the country. Again, we also need to, as a nation, begin to implement the letters of the Electricity Act of 2023 as amended. We need to now copy the ABBA model. You know, ABBA is an embedded power model. Even though their installed capacity is just about 141 megawatts. But now that the states have the power under the law to generate, transmit, and distribute their own electricity, what we should have is more generation all over, more effort, and more collaboration with TCN by the states. It's not enough to just start your electricity market. You have to start doing something in that regard. I think what we need to do is to find solution other than blaming other stakeholders. What we need to do is to see how we can solve the problem at hand. We know what the problem is. And again, a lot of these things cost a lot of money. So that is the way it is. So instead of saying, who is the problem? What is the problem? We are all the problem, all of us. Not just TCN. Because if you have a robust, a bankable, a buoyant power sector, it means that generation companies will be paid. They'll be able to pay the gas suppliers, the thermal plants. They will be paid for the power they generate. The transmission company of Nigeria also will be paid for transporting power.
All right, let us get to the transmission company of Nigeria here. As a former MD, Dr. Tambuwal, I hear all the burden might be on the transmission company of Nigeria, and many Nigerians hear terms like system disturbance, line tripping, when it comes to the national grid collapse. And these things have happened more consistent in the past few years, more than it has ever been. Just last year, we've had 12 grid collapses in 2025. Now, in simple terms, can you elaborate on what actually happens when the national grid collapses, and why does recovery often, take hours or days sometimes before the electricity comes back, and what are the key issues that cause these national grid collapses?
Thank you very much. Let me first of all say that grid collapse or system disturbance is an unfortunate phenomenon that happens when some of the power system have issues. We can have issues with power generation, and that can cause system disturbance, likewise transmission, and of course distribution. I would like to start with generation aspect. The key element there is voltage and frequency. Those are very important elements that need to be safeguarded within a reasonable range. Once that range is exceeded or fall below that range, system is likely to collapse. Voltage and frequency are the main issues. We can have voltage collapse or over voltage if there is overgeneration or less generation compared to what is being taken as load. Frequency too can shoot above 50 Hz or below predetermined level, and that will also affect the system performance and eventually cause system collapse. What are the issues that can cause voltage and frequency excursion to warrant system disturbance? Is one of two things. Either from the generation itself, when it lost a unit that substantial amount of load is lost, and then there will be imbalance. And if, on the other side, one of the major lines, particularly 330 kV lines of transmission, tripped due to fault, and it lose substantial amount of load, that could lead to overfrequency and the system can collapse. We also have incidences when generation is very low due to lack of gas. And as you know, during this period, the seasonal variation of our hydro station, we don't have adequate water. So the generation can be extremely low, and if it's that low compared to what is being taken, that can cause imbalance and the system can collapse.
Sure. Now, with all the factors that you've mentioned, which of them occurs more frequently than the other?
Of course, the transmission grid is the major cause, that the transmission system, because that is where this power is being wheeled to from generation to distribution. And if there is little disturbance, like I said, in terms of line tripping, or we have equipment failure in our switchyard, then there could be that problem that can lead to system collapse. So I think, by and large, I can say over 65% of the disturbances come from the transmission system.
Okay, Dr. Sunday, are you, sorry, Chief Sunday, are you there? Hello, Chief Sunday, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, all
yes,
right.
I'm here.
Based on what you said Nigerians should be patient. I think Nigerians have been patient enough when it comes to this electricity issue. And then also you said, the electricity sector knows where this problem is coming from. And if up till now, we still cannot, fight this issue, I don't know at what point we're going to do that, because in 2025, we had 12, grid collapse. And then starting this year, we're having 2 in just 4 days, which is alarming. So talking about patience, I think Nigerians have been patient enough. So honestly, I want to ask you, do you think that when the distribution network is strongly enough, will it be enough to supply the grid? And at the end of the day, are we going to have a stabilized grid? Because you were explaining that, the sector is trying to put things in order, knowing fully well where the problem is coming from.
Well, I think as long as everyone play their part, and when I said Nigerians need to be patient, what I'm saying is that, and I repeat that, you cannot correct the adversity of 50 years in just 5 years or 12 years or even 10 years. So as efforts are being made and lessons are being learned, because I do not expect the grid to collapse 10 times in a year. But I'm not going to sit down here and expect that there will not be any grid disturbance in a year, not once. With the current state of things, I think what we should be talking about is how best to find solution to ensure that this disturbance is minimized. That's the point I'm making. And everyone has a part to play. I keep saying that because at the end of the day, a lot of issues has something to do with a lot of investments that are required in the sector as a whole. As long as we keep our eyes on that, I think the issue of grid collapse will become a thing of the past. That's the way I look at it. Okay.
I think I'll give my colleague the chance to talk to the guest in the studio.
All right, now, Dr. Tambuwal, we've seen that there has been reports of issues when it comes to upgrade in the things that need to be fixed when it comes to generation, when it comes to transmission and distribution as well. Now, how much of these repeated collapses can be linked to funding constraints and delayed upgrades over the year? We know that there are lots of things that need to be upgraded when it comes to the power sector.
Okay, let me first of all revisit your earlier question, which I have not addressed. You have asked why there is so much delay in restoration when system collapse happens. I would like to say that there are certain ancillary services that is supposed to be provided by the system operator, which is now under Nigerian Independent System Operator, having been separated from TCN. So I expect that arm of the value chain to source for those kind of ancillary services. We call them spinning reserve. Spinning reserve is such that you have spare generation that can come up so that if there is turbulence, it will come up and cushion the effect and prevent the system from collapsing. Then the second one is black start capability, also supposed to be provided by the generation companies. It's supposed to be procured separately from these generation companies. So NISO should be able to procure that. The black start is to enable the system restoration process.
So you're saying that there are measures that can be taken in order to stop those collapses that
which have not been
experience.
properly taken up, because up to now we have zero spinning reserve in the system, which is really unfortunate. And also other advances now is we have other technologies that can be adopted. Battery emergency system storage is one thing which can be adopted if you cannot provide the spinning reserve so that it can stop the system from collapsing. It's just like a UPS to you. And then, like I said, when you are starting the grid after collapse, you need to synchronize all the units individually. We have close to 200 units in the generation, and each one has to be started separately, synchronize it to make sure that the voltage and frequency are in tune. So this is really what is causing the delay in the restoration. On the issue of the aspect of funding, which you said,
upgrades, yes.
Yes, I think a lot needs to be done in terms of system upgrade. Like I said, if we focus on transmission, we have a lot of lines which have really overstayed their lifespan. They need to be upgraded. We need to reconductor them. Sometimes it is difficult to set up a new line because of way-leave and other issues. But we already have these lines. The conductors have really gone so bad, and they cut frequently. So now we have higher resistant, temperature resistant cables that can carry twice or 3 times more power than the previous one. So it's important to reconductor those ones. We choose those problematic lines on 330 and 132 and reconductor them. So I think this is one of the low-hanging fruits which Siemens deal is supposed to provide. And I'm surprised not much has been achieved in this respect.
All right, Chief Sunday, I want us to talk about metering and the collections of these meters. More than half of the customers in Nigeria are still unmetered, and the industry data puts collection effectively at around 74%. So why has metering remained so slow, and how much revenue is actually being lost because of estimated billing and non-payment?
I'm sorry, can you repeat it? I couldn't hear you. The network went off.
Okay, so I was asking concerning metering and the collections of these meters, because most Nigerians are still complaining that they don't have meters as it is. So they do estimated billing. So we want to know, I beg your pardon, we want to hear from you. Why has metering remained is so slow, and how much revenue is actually being lost because of estimated billing and non-payment?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, let me give you some figures, because it's important we should all be working with facts and figures. As at toward the end of last year, the total number of metered customers was 6.66 million customers, 6.66. Unmetered customers, 5.36 customers. So those who are metered are more than those who are not metered. So the issue of most Nigerians are not metered, that is not correct. That's number one. Number two, after the Q3 of 2025, new meters that were supplied was 228,614. Okay. We are not where we are supposed to be, but we have made progress. If you look at where we are today and where we were 10 years ago. And let me now mention what the government has done, which is another commendable effort. There's a World Bank funded, we have different schemes for metering. There's what we call meter asset providers. And let me start by saying, these codes, we are not the one in charge of meters. People need to understand that all the time. Metering is under the purview of our regulator. The government has taken out a way meter from us long time ago. I've been on this job for 12 years, and I can tell you that we're not in charge of meters. Our job, our role, is to make available our own back-end ICT to cooperate with the meter suppliers and installers. Because when meters are installed, it is more in our interest, because when people have meters, and Nigerians love prepaid meters, when people have meters, they're able to measure their consumption. Okay, so now the federal government, they plan to bring in free meters, 3.4 million meters. And these meters are to come in batches. The first batch is meant to be 1.43 million meters. And only even a few days ago, last week, they received not less than 500,000 meters, making a total received under first batch almost 1 million meters. And these meters are to be installed, to supply to customers free, and to be installed free. And this effort is to bridge the metering gap, because if they bring in 3.4 million meters and we have 5-something million households to be metered, it will reduce the problem drastically. And just side by side, and that needs to be clarified, these free meters coming, this first batch, now we're expecting a second batch of 1.55 million meters. When the minister said these meters are free, he is right, and what they are doing is commendable. But the meter is talking about is this one figure I'm reading out, the one that they are bringing in now, in order to help in ensuring we bridge the metering gap. So as this goes, we lose more money to those who are on estimated billing, because people who are on estimation, they don't manage electricity. Not only that, there's a lot of argument between us and estimated customer, because indeed and truly, honestly speaking, we have cases of overbilling, those are the crazy bills, cases of underbilling, and you can never have an accurate thing. It's better for everyone to be metered. Now, what the government is doing now, for instance, those free meters, the total number of free meters installed so far is 150,000 meters so far. And this effort is going on. We are partnering and cooperating with the government to ensure the success of this new metering initiative. And the meter asset provider is still going side by side. So that's why when people say, oh, they say all meters are free. No, the minister makes it very clear. The one they are bringing in 3.4 million, first batch 1.43. Now we have your 1 million already. Those ones are free supply and free installation. So we understand the need for us to ensure that our customers are metered. And our regulator is doing a lot of work in that regard, because metering is very, very important. And I'm not going to emphasize it enough. The fact is that those who are unmetered That's where we lose money most. Those who are metered, people with prepaid meter, when there's no light, when there was system disturbance or grid disturbance, their unit will remain there, so they will not argue. Those who are unmetered, if we give them bill and the automated billing system fail at any time to discover the fact that 2 days ago there was, or last 2 days, yesterday, there was grid disturbance, when customers should not pay for electricity because there was no light. So which means the solution is metering, metering, and metering. That's where we are.
All right, let's hear from Dr. Tambuwal. Now, looking at a responsibility when it comes to issues in the power sector and power supply, we see a lot of blame sharing when it comes to sharing blame to the TCN, DISCOs, GENCOs, and other regulators like the Nigerian Independent Systems Operators. Now, how can there be a seamless coordination when it comes to making sure that the power sector works properly as it is needed to? How can that be achieved in making sure that we cut the way we do get epileptic power supply in Nigeria?
Well, first of all, I think all stakeholders have a responsibility to perform according to their mandate. When you look at transmission company, they know quite surely what they are supposed to do in terms of maintenance of the grid, as well as ensuring stability of the grid. Distribution companies too, they have their own responsibility to ensure that the revenue target, or they're able to recover all the monies that they have given power to customers. And the generation company too, of course, theirs is to ensure that there is adequate and stable output for transmission to will. So there is the regulator, who to me is in the middle of it and should be able to provide a forum such that all stakeholders perform according to their key performance indicators. Monthly, I know, or quarterly, there is a meeting in which all these stakeholders converge under the NEC to review these performance indicators. And the regulator should be able to sanction those who did not perform according to expectation, and possibly where there is reward also to reward those who have performed over the expectation. So I think the onus lies more on the regulator to ensure that all stakeholders are able to religiously perform according to the key performance indicators.
All right. Thank you, Chief Sunday Oduntan, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors, and also the official spokesman for all distribution companies. Thank you to Dr. Abubakar Atiku Tambuwal, former Managing Director of the TCN, for joining us this morning and analyzing the topic. And to Chief Sunday, I really hope that we don't get to see another grid collapse soon.
Thank you very much for
welcome.
Thank you.